Hello, Francis. We've got your better half here, and he's manipulating the machinery. And I want to say, first of all, how much we enjoyed your recordings and the pictures of you at the seaside, and Alison, how much she's progressing, and the good wishes you sent. They were very nice and enjoyable, and we appreciate it. It was just as good now as it was if we'd have heard it at Christmas time. And we think it's wonderful to be able to hear you, and Alison's voice and Ken's voice, well, everything really. And I hope that you and Ken and Alison will keep healthy and well, because it's not much good to be sick like I am, but I'm pleased to say that I'm improving.
Oh, you're a lot better now.
Very slowly.
Yes.
But there is an improvement, and I'm like a good many more people. I'm waiting for the sun to shine so that I can get out and get some fresh air. I think that's as much as I can say at the moment, so if you'll excuse me, we better pass on to Mother now and let her have a few words.
Where are you? Yes, well, Francis, when I came up in the taxi, they charged me 3 shillings to come up in that taxi, and it just crossed my mind. We were just talking about this, as a matter of fact. How much in the old days, about 1900 and... what would it be, 1920?
Oh, no, long
But,
back.
would it? Well, anyway, in the days when there were hansom cabs were running up and down the same road that I came up in the taxi, we were just considering how much you'd have to pay in those days to get on a...
1920 thing.
Was it 1920?
Yeah, just after the First War finished. 1918 that finished, and it was just afterwards,
Well,
wasn't
Ken
it?
was born in 1929.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, well, it was 1920.
Oh, yeah, that is.
What were they charging in those days?
Well, I don't know whether he charged, but it seemed as if he charged more than that. Perhaps he would be in uniform. You know what they are, these old cabbies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What was it like?
Well, as far as I remember, it was a cabbie, we called him in those
Yes,
days.
about
Yes.
a shilling, I should think.
About a shilling.
Yes.
From station to station, it'd be
Yes.
about a mile.
And
Was it expensive?
it was like a landau, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
And
4
you-
wheels.
4 wheels. You sat inside and he sat on the top.
That was handsome, cab.
Handsome cab it was. And when I came along up from the station where you just come from, and up to the other station, the London,
The central.
the central
Central.
station. Well, in those days, I think it'd be about a shilling.
Was it expensive?
Well, in those days, yes, according to what you have to pay today.
What was the ride like? Was it a smooth ride or was it jolty? What
Well,
was it like?
it was uppity, cloppity, cloppity. And, of course, there was hardly anyone about in those days. Rugby, you know what it was.
What was rugby like in those days?
Oh,
Well, the streets were muddy then.
there was
weren't they?
nothing. There was no one about hardly. It was so residential all the way up
Yeah.
from the station to the other station.
For the commercial travellers, they always had a bus
Yes.
that went from...
And I remember at one time, Auntie Kit and I, we came back together. She was at
Came back from where?
home, Everton, you
Yeah.
see, and she was at the fever hospital. She went in for fever training, you see. She did her training in fever. And we both went together, you see, to Nottingham, Arkwright Street. And when you were speaking of coming up from the station today, I went back all those years and I thought, well, you have a taxi and I had the hansom cab, you see.
Did the driver used to sit up and look through the roof with a little trap door?
Yes.
Yes.
There was a little
yes,
trap door,
a little
wasn't
trap door.
And they had the
yes.
bells?
Yes, the bell.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
the... Yeah.
yes.
Cabby's bell.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, it was rather a long ride from...
Okay, yes, of course.
Mm.
Oh, yes.
And you didn't like it very
But,
much?
well, as I tell you, I was always very, very sad, very homesick. That's
Yeah.
the word for it, nothing more or less. I was that type of girl. I was very, very homesick, you see. As I say, I tried to miss the train. If I could, I'd be happy, and I did. Often. But did I have to get scolded when I got back to my job? I had to go into matron's office. Oh, it was pain, believe me. 2 sisters took me there in front of matron's office. Hands behind. Ooh, it was terrible. It was really terrible in those days. But I realised it was a wonderful experience because I carried it with me all up to now, that training that was given to me, which I thought was horrible, dreadful at the time. But I realise it does make a woman of you, you see. You never forget it. And that's what makes you, I think, a little eccentric to other people.
Who?
Well, a nurse that was trained in those days,
Oh,
because
yes,
it was such
yeah.
a hard life,
Mm-hmm.
you see.
So rugby in those days was nothing. It wasn't anything like it is now. No industry.
No, it was just the big school and...
That's about all it was. Just an aristocratic, market
aristocratic.
town.
Oh, there was a factory. You see, there was the electrical works.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that was still
They
there.
started in 1902.
Yes.
You see?
Thompson Houston.
Yes, it was just a small factory
And
then,
then, of
employing
course,
about 1,000. You see?
Then you see...
Now there's 14,000.
Well, then I came to St Luke's, as is now, which was the infirmary in those days, and that's how I met the dad. I was on night duty, and the night nurses had a dance.
Oh, yes.
And your father came. He entertained the old people there, you see. And, of course, he must have asked me for a dance.
Is that so?
Exactly, that's how it all happened. He just asked me for a dance, and I looked at him. I took the coffee, and he wouldn't have coffee. And I thought, I never thought any more about him.
Yeah.
Oh, couldn't be bothered because he wouldn't have coffee off me. Everybody else did, but he didn't, you see.
Yeah.
And I didn't take any more notice. So, of course, when the band struck up for the dancing, he came to me and asked me if I'd like to dance. And I didn't really want to. I thought, no. I thought he was too abrupt, you see.
Could you dance in those days? Did you have an opportunity to learn to dance?
Yes. So, of course, I did. I had a dance.
Yeah.
So, of course, when the dance was over, he said, do you have a night off? An evening off? And I said, oh, yes. One a week. That's all we had. One evening a week. And he said, where do you go? And I said, nowhere. I didn't. I was that type of girl. I never went anywhere, believe me. I didn't. And he said, well, would you like to go to the theatre? Oh, I was either delighted, you see. And I remember it quite well. It was high heels and silk stockings.
The play? That was
The play.
Oh, it was a play, was it?
The play, yes, the theatre. And I went. So one of my friends, a nurse, she said, sure you're not going with him? Oh, I said, yes, I am. Oh, Bradley, she said. It's quite true, I'm not a dad knows all about it. That was our blaster. And she said, sure, you're not going with that fella, Bradley. Yes, I said, I am, why not? See? I said, he's a good dancer. So, of course, we arranged where to meet at Whitehall Road.
Oh, I know, yes.
And I didn't think he'd be there. I never bothered. I thought, well, I'll go. And I went, and he was standing there with a big high hat. Oh, ever such a tall fella he looked.
A big high hat?
Yeah, in those days they wore a
With a trilby.
big high hat.
Oh, yes, the old
So
fashioned, yes, I know.
he was there, you know. He was there, believe
Yes.
me. And, of course, I said, good evening. And good evening. So we were passing the shops, and he said to me, I suppose I better do the usual. And I thought, whatever does he mean? Wasn't my face red? And you know, it was, get me a box of chocolates.
Box of chocolates.
Well, I thought, oh, this is wonderful. Well, and we went to the theatre, and I was terrified to open them. But I sat with him in the theatre.
Where did you sit in those days? Whereabouts?
Oh, circle.
We went
In
in
the
the
circle.
circle, of course.
How much did that cost? Did you remember?
About 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
Go on,
Good
yeah.
heavens.
And so funny enough, there was another Tomes after me. This was a cousin of the dad's.
Oh, what a strange thing.
Yes, it was the strangest thing out.
Yeah.
Well, he's a bookmaker now.
Oh,
as
yes.
fat as a pig in Coventry. He came here one day over something. His name was Reg.
Oh.
He used to haunt me. He wanted to buy me a bicycle once. You see? And of course I didn't like him at all. So of course I gave him the bird every time. So when I left the dad, he walked up to the entrance.
To the infirmary.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't walk all the way, did you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was a long way,
So he
wasn't
said,
it?
when's your next night off? And I said, Thursday. You see?
Yeah.
Well, then I missed him. Somehow something happened. I missed him.
Yes.
Well, lo and behold, one evening I was walking out about a month after.
Yeah.
And it was to be, he was walking up again.
Well.
Yes. And
I was there, and that's where I met me doom.
so
Nevertheless, it worked out all right.
Yes.
I bought a bicycle. £7 I gave for this bicycle.
A new one, was it?
Yeah.
A new one? for
Almost
£7.
new one, yes. £7. £7 notes I paid for this bicycle. And that was a lot of money in those days. It was a new one, must have been. Well, we used to cycle to Coventry.
Did you?
Yes. And I was on night duty at that. I was up night and day. I worked and never slept. What a fool I'd been. Didn't I?
Yes.
I did. Well, one night I had no lights. I was late and I'd got to go on duty at 10 and it only gave me a quarter of an hour. Well, there was a policeman at the bottom of the road here. Asked the dad. I said, stop. Did I stop? I went like merry hell. He never caught me. The dad was terrified. I never said good night to the dad because I flew.
Yes.
I got away. I never saw the dad. I knew he wouldn't get me. And I got on duty in time. I've got to. Never mind any policeman. I've got to get. My patients were waiting. I got my work to do.
Cycling to Coventry in those days, what was the road like? It wasn't a good metal surface like we know it today, was it? What was it like? All
They
mud?
were dusty roads in the summer and
Yeah.
muddy in the winter. They were what they termed metal roads, but they were all
But
Hartsill stones.
Oh,
broken
yes,
stones,
yes.
you know.
Rough ride it
Yes,
must have
it
been.
was rough riding, really.
But as regards work, well, I started washing at 2:30 in the morning. I can hear those birds now and I can't sleep now.
You mean in the hospital?
In the hospital, yes.
And the birds outside the window.
And I wondered, I think to myself, I used to listen to those birds when I was young. The same birds, I suppose. We used to start washing. There was Nurse Gordon. You met her once, didn't you?
I did.
It was a
yes.
lovely old thing. Well, she was about 20 years older than me. And, she was lovely to work with. She was a real lady. She really was. You don't meet them today. But we got on, we always did nights together. Nurse Gordon and I. She died about, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Of course, in those days, you know, when mother was talking about riding to Coventry on a bicycle, there was no buses, no cars.
No buses?
Just an occasional lorry, old army lorries, used more than anything. But, of course, most people travelled by train. And there were various gentry that lived round Rugby that used to, if they wanted to go to London quickly, or anywhere to Scotland for shooting, I think, if they had a party, they could hire a special train. They'd go down to the station. My father was traffic inspector,
yes.
and he used to arrange for these things. And there'd be one engine and a coach and a guard's van. And the coach would hold about probably 40 people in the party. And they could hire it within and get it on the rail in about an hour.
In an hour?
And in those days, you see.
How did they manage to clear the track, though? I mean, if you were going to have a special train running...
Yes, well, trains weren't so frequent in those days, you see, and it was quite easy for them to
Organise
yes.
straight through rail.
Alternate the traffic a little bit, you see.
It wouldn't interfere with the main...
Oh, no. Especially from here, from Rugby, being on the main line, on 2 main lines, as a matter of fact, it was quite easy for anything like that. But they mostly travelled by London North Western, which was from London to Scotland.
Yeah.
London to Glasgow, London to Carlisle, then they joined up with the Caledonian Railway and went off to Perth or Braemar or somewhere like that in Scotland.
Why do you think railway trains, railway engines and coaches aren't kept up to the same impeccable standard that they used to have in years ago?
Simply because they can't get the labour now. People won't do the cleaning. They used to have a railwayman when he first started, a driver. He wanted to attain the rank of driver. He had to start as a cleaner. And they used to get black and oily, and today they won't have it. Of course, they have these automatic cleaners now.
Where they do it without any manual labour. People don't do it.
Oh no, they won't do it. Of course, they used to work for a few shillings a week then.
Yes, but they wouldn't do it these days.
No.
You can't blame
Just
them.
after the First World War, there was.
Can't blame them really.
They didn't get above. A full paid man was only getting about 26 shillings a week. And it did go up a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But, of course, jobs were hard to find after the First World War. There were a lot of people unemployed, and especially troops that had served in the First World War.
They talk
Not-
slow, don't they?
Not like it is today.
Well, the time
Yeah.
it's 25 to 6. That clock is right, isn't it?
Yes, that's dead right. Yeah.
Well-
I think I've had my say now.
It's been very
And
interesting.
Lovely.
uh,
Let us spend them.
both Mother and I
Thoroughly
send
enjoyed
our best wishes to you, and we've thoroughly enjoyed the entertainment that we've had, and it's certainly done us both good.
Yes.
And we hope to see you when the sun shines in the summer.
Yes, jolly good. Well, that's it then.
Yes, we thoroughly enjoyed it all, so we'll say goodbye for now.
Cheerio.
Mother and Dad.
Baba black sheep, puffy when he grew. Yes, sir, way back through. One for the master, one for the way, and one for the little boy who lives down the lane.
Again?
Baba black sheep, have you anyone? Yes, sir, way back through. One for the master, one for the day, and one for the little boy who lives down the lane. Baba black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, a bag full. One for the master, and one for the day, and one for the little boy who lives. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't fit Dumpty Dumpty together again.
Right, now you sing. Twinkle.
Twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above where so high, my diamond in the sky.
Yeah.
No. Alison can sing it on a tape recorder.
All right, off you go. Twinkle, twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. a diamond in the sky.
Gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon a little child. Pity my simplicity. Suffer me to come to thee.
The twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above a world so high, like a diamond in the sky. One for the master and one for the dame, and one for the little boy who lives around the lane. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men, Dumpty 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 together again. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above a world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Polly put the kettle on, Polly put the kettle on, Polly put the kettle on, we'll all have tea. Suki, take it off again, Suki, take it off again, Suki, take it off again, they've all gone away. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to chicken, happy birthday to you. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch and pay the water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, Jill came tumbling after. Horsey, horsey, don't you stop. Just let your feet go clippity-clop. Your tail goes swish and the wheels go round. Cheer up, we're homeward bound. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to chicken. Happy birthday to you.
The evening of Tuesday, January the 15th, 1963. Alison's first day at school.
Yes, we got up. I got up by myself. I went downstairs and put on my clothes.
Special clothes?
Yes, special clothes. And
What sort of clothes?
with my new jumper and my skirt. And an extra cardigan, a blue one. And first we had breakfast. And then Mummy did the washing up. Then I did my craning. And then we waited, and then I put on my blazing cap.
Yes.
And then we got my bag and put everything in it. And then we got Richard ready and put him in the pram. And then we walked along the road and crossed it. And then we walked up to the flame school. And he said good morning to Miss Bassett. And she said good morning, and then I said, how are you? And then she said very well, and then she said, how are you? And I said very well. And then we went into the bedroom and did some dancing and counted. And
Was Mum in there?
yes.
I was there.
No.
You didn't say about saying goodbye to Mummy.
And I said goodbye to Mummy, and then I went in. And then did some dancing and counted to 30 and sat on a little ladder of seats. Then Mummy called me in out. Yes, a biscuit and a bottle of milk.
And on the same evening, Richard. This is an example of Alison's reading ability, recorded on Easter Day, 1963.
Fair shores are fun. There are so many things to see and do, says Ding-a-ling. Look, says young Hook. There's an unusual type thing. What do you think it is? It's a balloon with a basket to ride in, Ding cries. No one seems to be about. The owner must be out to lunch, says young Hook. Let's get in and look around a bit. We really shouldn't get in the basket, Ding says. This sign says so that is to keep out boys who might break something. It doesn't mean us, young Hook says. Look, some silly person has put some bags of sand here, young Hook says. Let's throw them out. The owner will be glad to know that we've cleaned the basket for him. Suddenly they find that the balloon is rising into the air. Oh, the sandbags must have been keeping the balloon on the ground, cries young Hook. We're going up. We have been silly, says young Hook. Now we'll keep going on, up and up into the air. We'll reach the moon. I've never been there before, cries the frightened Ding. Then we're going down, young Hook calls out. Are we on the moon? No, but a man is pulling us down with a rope that was tied to a post in the ground, Ding says. Thanks for getting us down, says young Hook. We thought we were going to be the very first persons to land on the moon. You deserve a scolding, but you have learnt a lesson, says the man. We sure have, young Hook smiles. Next time I see a sign saying keep out, I'll know it means us.
And still on the same afternoon, Richard.
What's that?
Yeah.
What's that?
Bam.
Yes, and who's pushing it? Who's that pushing the pram?
No.
That's a baby. And what's that in the pram?
Baby.
That's a...
Baby.
Yes, and what's that there? That's a... Look, teddy like... Coat? Yes. And see, that's a teddy.
Teddy.
Yes, teddy. Now, let's see what else we can find in here.
Look,
This is very interesting. That baby's going upstairs. He has shoes and...
And go.
Yes, let's see.
Boys.
Yes, I don't know. What's that there?
That.
What's that there?
Daddy.
Yes, a teddy. See how nice.
Boo.
Yes, Boo. And what's that? Little girl?
Da.
What's that little girl doing?
Della.
Yes, Dolly. Dolly's having
D.
tea. Yes. Little girl pouring it out of a teapot into a cup.
D.
Tea. Nice tea. Ooh, what's this?
Lamb.
Now, let's have a look here. What do we know here? Swing there. See the little boy in the swing? Swing. Ooh, look. What's they doing?
Tea.
Having tea. And what's that there?
Tea.
Yes, cakeys.
E.
Yes, cakeys. Eekies. I know it does. Look, car out there, yes.
Yes. Is there a picture of a car in there?
No. What's that, Richard, out there? Richard, see? What's
There is.
that?
There is.
What are they, Puppet? No, well, never mind. Look, that's a little girl. Like Alison.
Addie.
Yes.
Addie.
That's right, Alison.
Oh.
Laying,
Addie.
yes, laying tea.
E.
Tea. That little boy has a train.
No.
That's a... Yes, a choo-choo. Richard has a choo-choo. That little boy is like Richard, and he... What's that? Look, what's that in there?
Mummy.
No, that's not Mummy. Those are
Mummy.
books. Yes, a choo-choo. Now, let's see. Oh, what's that?
Go.
What's this here? Look.
Boo.
Yes. What's this, Richard?
Boo. Boo.
Yes, boots. I know about boots, but what about this?
Boo.
Yes, boots. Little boy has boots too. What about this? What's this here?
Good.
What's that there?
Good.
Richard, what's that there?
No.
What's that? That's, Richard, not say.
Oh.
Oh, look.
Baby.
A baby, yes. Nice baby.
Baby.
Well, I know he does. I mean, it's one of those things. Now, half these pictures are missing. The most interesting ones aren't. Oh, look, Richard, what's that? What's that there?
There's a ball.
What's that?
Ball.
What's that?
Buggy.
Here's a monkey.
And later in the year, in August, Alison and Richard.
Richard, say 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 6, 7, 7. Richard, say 7. 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12. 10. Good. Good. There.
And now Richard and myself identifying subjects in a dilapidated picture book.
What's this?
He hug.
A hedgehog.
There.
Hedgehog.
Look. Corner.
Yes.
Corner.
And what's this?
Wheel of dolly.
A wheel come off the van. What's this?
Dolly. Dolly. He hug.
The hedgehog eating grass.
Dolly.
Yes.
Dolly.
What's this? What's this?
Bear.
Teddy bear.
Cross. Bear.
Yes. And this?
Teapot.
A teapot. Yes. And this?
Shoe.
Pair of shoes. What's this little thing here?
Backpack.
A quack quack.
Top.
That's a top. Yes, yes, yes. And this is a...
Rabbit.
Beg your pardon?
Rabbit. Spoon.
It's a spoon. Yes, it's a spoon. Oh, what's this?
Girl.
A little girl.
Look. Look. Dolly.
A dolly, yes. And here,
Mom.
a man, yes.
A baby little there. Toss. Daddy. Dolly.
A dolly, yes.
Top.
More pictures.
More rabbit. More rabbit. Rabbit. A rabbit.
Oh,
look. What's this?
Egg.
Is not this money?
No.
Not money. What is it then?
Travel money.
What's this?
This.
Dress. Yes.
Meh. Lamb.
Meh. Lambs go.
Meh.
Doggies go.
Baba.
Cows go.
Moo.
Horses go. Motor car go. Tractor go.
Baby.
Motor car goes beep beep. Airplane goes. Yes.
M.T.
Beg your pardon?
M.T.
Aeroplane going home to tea.
Oh, airplane going home to tea. What is this?
Elephant.
Elephant. And this?
Fish.
A fish. Yes.
That.
What's this?
Bambi.
A Bambi. Yes.
A Bambi. Dum-dum.
A drum. Brrm, dup, dum, dup, dum, dup, dum. And this?
Moggy. A moggy.
Not a moggy. A basket.
Yes.
Yes. What are these things?
Apple.
Apples. Yes, they are.
Top.
Hmm.
Up. Oh, bear. Mummy. Mother, mummy.
Mummy with a bear. Yes.
Yes. Another. Jump. Lipid. Mom. Oh, look. Mom. Mom. Mom.
A man. Yes. What's this?
Hat.
A hat. It is.
Bass.
And these are
Red. Lamb.
lambs. And lambs go.
Meh.
They do. And cows go.
Mm.
And horses go. And airplanes go. And tractors.
Baby.
Motor cars go.
Beep.
Beep, beep.
It was at this point that we suddenly discovered this forgotten recording of Alison made a little time before Christmas, 1962, when her imagination made fantastic interpretations on the Christmas story.
What if it was walking? It had little brown legs, and it was walking and walking and walking and walking and walking into the stable with his little brown legs. And he had arms, hair, and a face. He was walking around the stable. He was looking for things to eat, like bits of paper, because that's what fowls eat. They eat bits of paper, grass, he had, and then it was time for the fowl to go home in his own little stable with the bed. It was a very nice bed with little bars like Richard's, just like Richard's, only it was blue. In the little brown stable, there was a door and windows, and the little fire jumped into his bed and went fast asleep. And next morning it was his birthday and the baby Jesus' birthday. And they all had gums, ice cream, porridge, and a fruit cake and chocolate cake for breakfast. And it was beautiful. There was lamps everywhere, in their garden, in the shed, in the street, in the room. And there was balloons and decorations, and there was gums and sweets and ice cream for tea and dinner and supper and breakfast. And then it was time to go to bed after that. And they all went to their little stables, and then they all pulled back the bedclothes and went fast asleep. That was that. Once upon a time, it was Christmas, and the chicken, he went to town and brought all his little friends, doggies and kittens. And he enjoyed having them. And it was snowing and it was dark, and all the lights were lit up, and it was beautiful. There were decorations and balloons, and they heard bells coming. And what do you think it was? It was Father Christmas. He was coming to meet them. You see, they had this little sleigh, and Father Christmas went on it, you see, with the puppies and kittens, and they all went riding away. And there were balloons, and the street lights were lit up. There was even a big decoration in the middle of the town. And then the little pussies and kittens enjoyed it. And Father Christmas did too. They went riding and riding and riding along into the distance. And they came to a house where they dropped the presents down. It was Christmas. And there was birthday cards. And they went inside. It was Christmas lights and decorations in the rooms. And the little pussycats and Father Christmas liked it. And Chicken had tea with them. And afterwards, they asked the little chicken if they would like to come to tea with him. And he said, yes, thank you very much, I would. So they all went to the puppies and kittens' house, and they all had tea. There were gums, ice cream, sweets, chocolates, fruitcake, biscuits. And after that, it was time to go to bed. And they went up in their little blue nightdresses, and they lay down, and that was that. There was once a baby Jesus who had a little brown stable with a red bed inside. A little teeny-weeny one, because the baby Jesus was so small. And he had a table with Christmas things like ice cream and biscuits and chocolate cake with nuts in and biscuits. And there was gums, ice cream, chocolate, sweets, toffees. And he had milk and tea and sugar to drink and eat. And he had a lovely time. And after that, he saw a fire outside his stable when he was eating. And he said, what's that I can see? And it came nearer and nearer and nearer, nearer and nearer and nearer. He saw that it was walking. It had little pink legs. It had arms, a face and hair, and little treat. He thought it was having bath inside his stable. You see, it wasn't really a stable, it was a caravan. You see, the caravan was moving. You see? And the baby Jesus was coming nearer and nearer and nearer. Because he was in a caravan too. He thought it was a dream. But it wasn't. It is all the far coming to look inside the stable to see what there was. There was a baby Jesus sleeping inside the little stable in the red bed with white blankets. And he pulled back the bedclothes in the father's bed and in the baby Jesus' bed. And they both went fast asleep, and that was that.
And now, Sunday, February the 23rd, 1964.
Pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder. 1, a 2, a 3, follow me. Pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder. 1, a 2, a 3, follow me. Pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder. 1, a 2, a 3, follow me. Pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder, pat a little doggy on his shoulder. 1, a 2, a 3, follow me. Jesus bids us shine with a pure clear light, like a little candle burning in the night. In this world of darkness we must shine. You in your small corner and I in mine. Oh, I have a friend and a very good friend whose house is as queer as can be. It's an old, old boat that was once afloat on a splashy, wind-blown sea. It's upside down, yes, it's upside down. There's a door with a knocker and bell, and windows wide in the fireplace inside, and a tiny garden as well. It belongs to my friend, my very good friend. His name is Skipper Heath-ho. Oh, do come and have tea with the skipper and me. You'll be very welcome, you know. What else should we talk about? You'll have a lot to put on the tape recorder, won't you, Daddy?
What do you like talking about most? School? And now, a typical day at school. Right, now, first thing you do, usually.
I hang my coat and hat up.
Yes.
Then go into the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Call the names.
Oh, that's the register, is it?
Yes.
Yes. What do they,
Then
how do
have
they?
prayers.
Oh, yes. What's some of the prayers you say?
Jesus bids us shine.
Mm-hmm.
Heavenly Father, hear my prayer.
Yes. Any particular prayer you like best?
No. I can't remember what other prayer.
Doesn't matter. And then when you finish prayers, what do you do next?
Have a choosing time.
Ah, choosing time. What does that mean? Choosing what?
Well, have a cupboard full of toys and you can choose something.
Oh, yes.
either a piece of paper or a toy from the cupboard.
What do you usually choose?
Piece of paper.
Do you? Don't you ever have toys?
Sometimes.
But it's usually a piece of paper.
Yes.
And a pencil.
And crayons, of course.
Sounds good fun.
And then we have playtime.
Oh, yes.
Pardon?
What do you do at playtime?
Well, you can play any sort of games you want.
Any sort?
Oh, yes.
What does Mrs. Hewitt do while you're having playtime?
Well, I just stand out sometimes and watch the children play the way. I don't know where she goes, but she goes out of the playground.
Does she now?
Well, you can have balls and hoops and skipping ropes. And there's a little cupboard full of trains and somewhere.
Really?
Yes.
And you can have those if you like.
Yes. And then we have milk and biscuits.
Milk and biscuits?
Yes.
And how do you have that? Do you sit down and have it, or stand up, or?
Sit down. And Mrs. Hewitt plays the piano.
While you're drinking your milk?
Yes.
That's a nice idea.
And then we do a bit of singing by ourselves, and Mrs. Hewitt plays the piano. And then it's time to go home.
Really? And that's a full morning's work?
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked Alison to visualize what she thought it was going to be like when we took our annual trip down to Pembrokeshire in the motorcycle and sidecar.
About
We get up in the morning.
What time?
Well, Mummy will say about 10 to 8.
Yes.
Or perhaps 5 to 8. I don't know really, but I should think 5 to 8.
I should say so.
We get up in the morning.
Yes.
We get dressed. Then we have our coffee and biscuits. And then we get ready to go out. And then we get in the motorcycles and we go all the way to Nanny's.
It's a long way to Nanny's. Do you know how far it is to Nanny's? It's 180 miles.
Oh.
180 long, long miles.
What's a mile?
A mile is from here up halfway to town. That's 1 mile. So you've got to go 180 times as far as that. The motorcycle's going to be very tired.
And it'll going to need a lot of petrol.
Yes.
We'll have to stop a lot of times, mind, because the motorcycle can't hold as much as that.
It'll hold about 3 gallons. 3 gallons.
Well, that won't take us all the way there.
It will.
How do you know?
Well, I know.
How do you know, though?
Well, I know because I've been there before with the motorcycle. And I had 3 gallons of petrol.
Without stopping?
Without stopping.
Oh. What's a gallon?
A gallon is 8 pints. That's 8 milk bottles. Think of 8 milk bottles standing on the shelf full of petrol, and that is 1 gallon.
8?
8 pints.
8 pints? What a lot.
It is rather. Now, when we get to Nanny's,
Yes.
what's the first thing we shall see? Coming along the road.
Tractors. Aha.
Yes.
And I know the first thing Richard will say, if it's Uncle Elliot, I'm sure he'll hear the sound of his tractor, and he'll shout out of the window and say, "There's Uncle Elliot!" And probably he's been waiting to see Heather. Or probably he'll be asleep because it's a very, 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 very long way. But he might wake up before that. A bump might wake him up. Mm. I wonder what we shall have for tea.
I wonder.
I expect Easter eggs afterwards.
Easter eggs afterwards?
Yeah.
Yes, it will be Easter when we get down there. How many cows has Uncle Elliot got?
Oh, Daddy, I can't count them.
You have a rough idea.
With a rough idea.
Well, you can guess. How many?
My God.
What sort of a noise do those cows make?
Moo.
And how many sheep has he got?
I don't know.
How many daughters has he got?
I don't know.
Surely. Count them on your fingers.
3.
4.
No.
There's Rachel, Heather, that's 2, Julia, that's 3, and what's the name of the other one?
Which one?
The other little baby one.
Sally.
Sally, 4. 4 daughters has Uncle Elliot. He did have 3, but then he had another one, and that
Makes. Doesn't it?
it does.
It makes 4.
We also discussed her quite remarkable ability for soothing Richard off for his midday sleep.
How do you get Richard to go to sleep like you do? Mummy can't do it half as well as you do. What do you do?
But I don't get him to sleep. I don't get him to sleep. Mummy doesn't get him to sleep.
Oh, what do you do then? What's your secret?
What do you mean, what's my secret?
Well, I mean, how do you manage to get him to lie down at all? First of all, what do you do?
Well, as soon as I come home from school, Mummy says that she promised to read, Mummy promised that I would read a story, either Bunty or the Zoo Book, either Bunty and the Zoo Book. And then I tell him to lie down, and he's a very good boy. He does lie down if you tell him. The point is, though, you must tell him a story afterwards, otherwise he won't. Or perhaps, what I usually do is to read the Zoo Book when he's lying down. Then he can listen to it. And he's all right after that. And he's always sitting up if Mummy always tells me that he's sitting up when Mummy comes to fetch him.
Very good. Now, there's one thing that I can't understand. Why don't you like carrots? Do you like carrots for your dinner? You do? What don't you like?
Sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. Do you know why you don't like them?
It's because I don't like the taste.
It's the taste. You like the colour?
Yes, but I don't like the taste.
The taste. What sort of a taste is it?
Creamy, but I don't like it.
Anything else you don't like?
Mustard,
Really? Why don't you like mustard?
because it's too hot.
Ah. Anything else?
Pepper,
You don't like pepper?
no,
Because...
because it's too hot.
Now then, what do you like best of all?
Ice cream,
You. Anything else?
only ice cream.
Just ice cream. Beg your pardon?
The strawberries on the top, and cherries.
And we also talked about some of Alison's fellow pupils at school.
Who's your best friend? The little boy or the little girl that you like best at school, your favourite friend. Who is he or who is she?
Barbara.
Barbara? That's a nice name. Barbara who?
Barbara Govan.
Govan. Tell me a little bit about her.
What about that?
Well, tell me the things you do and what she says to you. And...
She doesn't often sit by me.
Oh, I see. But she is your favourite?
Yes.
Why is she your favourite, do you think?
I don't know.
You play games together at playtime?
Yes.
What sort of games?
Chasing games.
Ah. And you like her for that, do you? Who chases who?
Sometimes Barbara chases me and sometimes I chase her.
Who's the best?
Pardon?
Who catches who the fastest?
Me.
You. Let's talk a bit about something else. Who's the nicest boy at the school?
All of them are a bit naughty.
Yes, but who's the nicest, not the naughtiest? Who would you say?
David.
David?
David Pegler.
And you like him?
Hmm.
A bit. Who's the naughtiest boy at school?
Ian.
Is he? What sort of things does he do to make him naughty?
Shout. Stand on chairs. Bang the table. Always walking about. That's all the naughty things I can remember. But those are naughty ones, aren't they? And he's sometimes put in the corner.
Is he?
Otherwise a smacked bottom.
Who does the smacking of bottoms?
Mrs. Hewer.
Does she know? Does she do it hard or gently?
Hard.
She...
Because for standing in chairs and talking and banging the table and always walking about is quite naughty. Because you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to bang the table nor stand in chairs, especially stand in chairs.
Tell me, have you ever been spanked yourself at school?
No.
Once, perhaps?
No.
No, never.
Not even at Miss Bassett's.
Really? Very good. You must be very good.
Well, none of the other little girls get a smacked bottom. It's only the boys.
Only the boys. And Ian is the naughtiest.
Yes.
How many times a day does Ian get spanked?
Well, almost every day.
They also had a tuck shop at school every Friday afternoon, and I asked her what it was like.
You go into the hall, and there's a lot of tables there, and they all have sweets on. Every table is covered with sweets, absolutely covered, and there's a space for the boxes where they put all the money. And they give it to the boys who count it all. Put it into a huge pile. And you have 1 penny for every sweet. Now, supposing this was a penny. Now, I had that penny, and I was going to buy a bar of chocolate. Well, I had to give the Miss MacDonald this penny, and then I would have this bar of chocolate, see?
I see.
And then for everything, you have 1 penny. Even if it is another one, even if it is more than 1 penny, you do have 1 penny for every sweet you buy.
I understand.
If it's very expensive, you have to give Well, about 3 pennies.
That's a particularly expensive sweet, is it?
Yes.
Mm.
If it's twopence or threepence or fourpence or 1 penny, you can have it for 1 penny. And afterwards you go back and eat some of your sweets. And then it's time for play again.
I see. Did you tell me once that you wash your mouth out after the sweets?
Yes,
Oh, where do you do that?
in the wash basin.
I see. You always wash your mouths out.
Yes,
Why is that, do you think?
because they get all sticky and chocolatey if you don't.
And here, picked up by a microphone outside Richard's bedroom door, is Alison perfecting her wonderful technique of soothing him off for his afternoon sleep.
They opened the door and peeked in. The gingerbread man was quite friendly, and Auntie Pansy carried him to the table. He was a lovely brown colour. He's much too pretty to sit Auntie Pansy. We'll keep him to play with. And just as Auntie Pansy had said that, gingerbread man jumped off the table and ran out of the door shouting, "Run, the fast you can catch me, I'm a gingerbread man." And Auntie Pansy and Teddy ran after him as fast as they could. But they never caught him, so they began all over again and made some plain buns without legs, so that they couldn't run away. And we did the book now. Oh no, I'll have to go downstairs. And look, Richard, yes. I promise you, as soon as you come downstairs, I'll go down and tell Daddy that, look, I'll put the yes, that Daddy will put the detector on after the look to recorder. You like a projector with you on the sound, and Richard playing in the sea, and Mummy and Cindy in the sea. No. All right then. I'll tell Daddy to put the tape recorder on, all right? And why don't you sit up and look at your face? But that's too hot, is it? Yeah. Oh, it's not. What's happened here? This one again. Oh, Richard. What, that little tiny bit? Oh, Richard, that's not too hot. Come on, I'll wrap the blankets on again then. Oh, Richard, just a minute. And then you want to sit upright. Sit up a minute. Lie. Oh, you lying down? I want to sit up. Oh. Well, oh, there's a nice plump pillow for you to lie on. Isn't that nice? And come on, we must move the hot water bottle down. So, woo, dear, it's come on down again. Dear me. That hurt. Put it down in the bucket. There we are. Nice and warm for Richard now. There we are. But there's no more blankets. Just put this great lamp over you. There, that will keep you. Well, there's no more blankets. But here's your socks and your things. There we are. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Little kittens, they lost their mittens, and they began to cry, "Oh, mother dear, we greatly fear that we have lost our mittens." "What? Lost your mittens, you naughty kittens? Then you shall have no pie." Meow, meow. Yes, you shall have no pie. Meow, meow, meow. 3 little kittens, they found their mittens, and they began to cry, "Oh, mother dear, see here, see, we have found our mittens." "What? Found your mittens, you little kittens? Then you shall have some pie." Pooh, pooh, pooh. Yes, you shall have some pie. Pooh, pooh, pooh. The three little kittens put on their mittens and soon ate up the pie. Oh, Mother dear, we greatly fear that we have soiled our mittens. What? Soiled your mittens, you naughty kittens? Then they began to sigh, meow, meow, meow. Then they began to sigh, meow, meow, meow. The three little kittens, they washed their mittens and hung them out to dry. Oh, Mother dear, look here, see, we have washed our mittens. What? Washed your mittens, you darling kittens? But I smell a rat close by. Shh, shh, mew. Ooh, we smell a rat close by. Mew, mew, mew. What's your next? That sounds like that's right. Or would it be better this way? I think so. Let's out. Let me see that. That great big. What does do for sure? Yes, I guess. All right, Richard, you can have your Look, we have to get you mixed up, don't we? Oh dear, I don't know when we'll get right. Go, Richard. Now, look, we have this for a shirt. That for a shirt. Put this on. We have this for a nice woolly dress. A nice woolly dress. All nice and big and woolly. There we are. Now, a nice little shirt. All ready. Put one on. All nice and all ready to put. Thick. Blue, 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 blue. This is your shirt, isn't it? Turn it down. Don't put the knees up. A nice little dress, isn't it, Richard? Lovely. This is your white shirt. Lovely and white, isn't it? Yes. It's done. Oh, yes. And then last of all, we put your lovely little jumper on. And my shirt. Well, that's your pinafore. Keep you all nice and smooth. Put my pinafore on. All right, wait a minute. Pinafore. Is that pinafore? Yes. Not pinner. Not pinner. Pinafore. Yes, pinafore. Pinafore. Yes, pinafore. We put it on him. Is that pretty? Pinafore. Yes, it is. Pretty too. This is your pinafore to keep you all nice. There we are. There we are. There, now your hands come out here like this, don't they? There we are. There you're all dressed to go to Mammy's. Where's Mammy? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute, Richard. I'll have this on. This might be. I'll have all those. May I have this cardigan on? There, now you're dressed. There we are. Now you're dressed again, aren't you? Now I'll have these clothes. Hello! Daddy?
Yes?
What are you doing?
I just wanted to get Richard's voice, that's all. Just getting to talk about things, would you? Just getting to talk about things, you know.
What?
Anything. Anything at all. Anything. Just getting to talk. Just talk about nothing.
I want to talk about something else.
All right, anything you like.
Daddy,
Yes?
I like to see the next sugar.
Beg your pardon?
May I look out of that window?
You may.
Oh.
Could you get him to talk about something? Ask him about,
Richard? Richard? What's this? A tape recorder. It's not. What is it? What's this? It's
What about the gingerbread man? Talk to him about the gingerbread man.
what about? He
What?
needs a book to talk about.
Well, what happened about the gingerbread man? They made a little gingerbread man, didn't they?
Did the gingerbread man run away? Yes. Oh, where did he go? Round the good then, everybody go the man they was being burnt, and they made two clouds of flour. Did they? Yeah. It's not very clear, but he is talking, I'm sure. Yes. Now, what have you got on? Jumper. What? Jumper. Yes, you've got a jumper on. What else?
Hello, H.G. Well, we had to put the stock market report things on this big tape because, well, I suddenly found to my dismay that we
Run out of small reels. You should have... you've got 2 now, and you should have another one. You should have 3. I think that's all we had, 3 small reels.
Yes, that's right.
Well, whether or not I have lost one, I don't think I have lost one. I keep pretty good care
No,
of
I
these
don't
things.
think H.G. has sent us any this week. You sent one off last Friday, you see.
That's
and
right.
then one on Wednesday and one on Friday again, and we haven't had any tapes at all this week.
Well, the whole thing completely eludes me. I've no idea how we do stand, but I rather think, H.G., it's you've got the lot up there, and I expect tomorrow morning, Saturday, we shall probably get another little package in the post from you, returning some of the stuff. Anyway, you're quite welcome to keep this tape for as long as you require. On the back of it, of course, you'll find Hancock and Sid and Bill and Hattie. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry I haven't been able to capture any more. They haven't been doing any more Hancocks, you know.
No, they've finished the series.
Finished the series, yes.
This time, yes. And there's also some readings from the accountant, aren't there?
That's right. That precedes this. Well, you've...
All the readings?
Yes. The accountant.
Yes, all of
the 3 humorous readings. Well, at least I didn't think they were all that humorous myself, but perhaps you... Let me see now. Oh, yes, Frances' mother went back this morning. She's been with us now 3 weeks.
Oh, nearly a month.
Almost a
It
month.
would have been a month on Monday, yes. So she finally packed up today and got home. I think she's been hankering to go home now for some little while, because after all there are things
You
to
think
see
so?
to. Oh, well, not badly, but you know, certain things to see. So she keeps chickens and things, and she has a garden, you know, H.G.
Thousands of chickens.
And all
Well,
these things get neglected naturally while she's away. She has someone to look after them, but you know, it's not like being there yourself. So I think she was quite glad to get back. She would be quite glad. And so we're on our own again. Ken starts a fortnight's holiday tomorrow, which is very nice.
Hooray! Yes,
Yes.
I left work for the last time tonight. I was very thankful to leave the place too. Working there for 52 weeks in a year, or thereabouts, it's very, very thankful to lay your pens down for the last time and come home and know that you haven't got to get up in the mornings for 14 whole days.
Yes,
Wonderful.
lovely. And by the time that's over, we should have things absolutely under control again. Although there doesn't seem to be a lot of extra work with young Richard. He's really remarkably good. Apart from feeding every 4 or 5 hours, it's about all he requires. He doesn't seem to want any other attention just at the moment anyway, so we're very lucky.
He's a very good baby indeed.
Yes, he's starting us off on the right foot anyway. And we've got this holiday, which is nice. We shan't be able to go very far, I don't think, because you're a bit tired with a small baby. But we hope we'll maybe get out for 1 or 2 days if we get some nice weather.
Well, we're certainly going to release that film you and Frank so kindly gave to us. We're going to try and let that off in Bristol Zoo.
Yes, that's one of the things we're hoping to do. I
Yes.
wonder how you've been getting on this past week. We It seems a long time since we heard anything of you. I suppose you must have been very busy.
I've got an idea that H.G is just hankering to get away now. When you're listening to this tape, this will be Saturday morning when you're listening to this. You've probably
yes.
just heard those stock market reports, and you're just hoping to goodness we would wrap up so that you could shut the tape recorder and get off and catch your train. So I think that's a pretty good excuse, isn't it? It's about time we got off the tape.
Anyway, we wish you a very pleasant weekend, H.G., whether you're spending it in London or at home.
Very pleasant weekend. We'll be returning to you on Monday with some more stock markets and anything else you want doing. Of course, we've got to do the Accountant's Journal, haven't we? That's the thing we shall be getting down to
Well,
now.
we shall have plenty of time now that, in the next week or two.
Yeah. Right then, without any more ado, let us say goodbye.
Goodbye, H.G.
All the very best.
Very rarely do you ever hear anybody sort of reflect on the very simple meaning behind it. The simple and yet the powerful meaning behind it. I don't know. I've heard no end of people on the radio talking about Coventry Cathedral and all the wonderful amenities. And yet, you know, the real thing behind it's like talking about a wonderful cinema, but nobody ever talks about film production.
I think some of the ideas behind it show that they do, in fact, have that in mind. Chapel of Unity, for instance, and other things which have been very much publicised. They are good things.
People are very shy of talking about things like that. They'll talk about cathedrals and architecture for hours, but they won't talk about the other thing. The other. Oh well, we've gone on too long. I think
the tape must be no.
There's a lot of tape here, isn't there? Must be long. I don't know who this tape belongs to. I think it must belong to one of you or one of us.
No idea. We're so mixed up with our tapes, we don't know where they are. But still, they must be getting on time for the post, I think.
Yes. That's a good way out, isn't it?
Well, it isn't really, because we still have quite a lot to do tonight, actually. Various things.
Really? What have we got to do?
Well, I've had an invitation to go and watch the gondoliers on television, which I propose to avail myself of after we've had something to eat. And also a letter to drop into the school where Alison proposes to start next term. Alison goes to a new school in September. Elmbridge Infants. And a right crowd they are. Still, it looks a nice school. We've been up there today, and Alison's had the opportunity of looking round all the classrooms and meeting some of her future playmates.
one of the things that have tickled Francis and Alison are the little tiny toilet pedestals.
Oh, they've got everything up there, but everything.
I think it must be like a jockey's restroom.
A row of 8 little tiny toilets, you know. Fantastically small little things, and opposite them a row of little tiny wash basins.
Well, I think it's all wrong myself. I think
Fascinating.
they should be taught how to mount a full-sized potty and not because I mean they're going to find themselves hopelessly out of water when they come to go on a railway journey and have to.
Oh, I don't know. It's just designed to make things easy for them. In
Yeah.
fact, everything seems designed to make things easy for them. From what one can gather from the equipment, they do nothing but play for the first year or two. They have a host of stuff there. Dolls' prams and dolls' houses and rocking horses. More like an infant's creche than a school, really. Still, I should think she should be very happy there.
Yes. Well, I bet H.G. and Frank are nodding slowly.
Yes, I should imagine they must.
Hey, wake up! Wake up! Yes, well, with that, we'll have to say cheerio for the time being then, gentlemen. It's been a great pleasure talking to you again, and many thanks for all you do for us.
We'll be answering your message, H.G., when we get around to it.
We shall.
It shouldn't be too long,
Oh, yes,
with any
of course, I
luck.
forgot about that. Yes, we will. All right, then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All the best.
A pleasant idea to have not exactly you could have gardens, you could have, as Ken said, a sort of temple of trees, you know, with,
Oaks and cedars.
That's right. We thought it would be in many ways more impressive than a building, and it could be maintained with far less cost.
But you see, all this money, I mean, the church organization tells us that money is desperately needed for 101 services to mankind. And all this money, £19,000, in order to have this architectural structure renovated and cleaned and put together
Well,
again.
that's only one operation, and they'll be wanting it again in another 5 years.
Yes, well, it seems such a contradiction to me, somehow, that God's people are suffering, and yet we see
far more fit to spend money on putting up repairing a temple, a dead thing, than giving sustenance to people who are so desperately in need of it.
It does seem to me we have the thing the wrong way round, I must say.
Of course, in the next breath, I'm also thinking about Coventry Cathedral.
Well, I suppose.
Anyway, it's a thought. It's a thought. We go past this place, and we look at it and we think. And that's what we thought.
Someone who's recently been to Coventry Cathedral tells me that the cathedral is not wearing at all well. I don't know whether perhaps you wouldn't have the same opportunity of noticing, H.G., this, because, of course, it's a thing that would require more careful observation, perhaps, but they say it's beginning to look shabby. I don't know if that's true. What do you think? What do people you know in Coventry think about it, H.G.? Is it still, when it was new, it had a very, what's the word? When it was new, it had a very modern appeal, although it was built in quite a different way, with all the materials newly bright and shining. But from what I hear, they are no longer so. The black marble floor, for instance, it was supposed to be so effective, they say, now is becoming grimy and grey and scratched, and no longer gives that effect of a vast shining floor.
And as soon as he said that, of course, I knew that he was going to give me the wonderful little pink chitty that enables you to drive without your old plates up. The sort of thing.
That's right.
So I was very pleased indeed. It's very silly, really, for us to get all worked up like this, because despite what you say, Frank, there will not be a motorcycle combination for sale.
We're very attached to our little outfit, Frank.
Yes.
Very attached.
This is not a case of, what do they call it, sour grapes. It's just that we do enjoy that motorcycle combination.
You see, we like travelling in the open air, Frank. We used to do a tremendous amount of cycling at one time until the combined weight of our two infants got too much for our physical powers.
We don't do a lot of travelling about, and don't forget it's extremely cheap. That's what we've got to consider, really. It's extremely cheap to run, and it's cheap to maintain, it's cheap to insure. There's
also one advantage, which probably not many people would consider, actually, that of a car. If you've got a car, you're all in there together.
Yeah. Yes.
But if you have a motorcycle and sidecar, you can put the dog and the two children into the sidecar, shut all the windows, lock the doors, get on your bike, and away you go.
Well, that's very true.
And although you can see them mouthing through the window, and you can also see if anything really drastic is happening.
Because it's almost 5 minutes to 12, and we shall be lunching in a few moments. Yes, I think that's about all. Yes, it is all that I can think of that I've got to say. You'll notice that I've got to keep talking here. I can't stop for a moment. There's no pause control on this gram deck. You've got to keep on yattering away. There's no opportunity to switch off. Right then, H.G., with all very best, and I know Frances will join me here if she was in this room at the moment, she would join me in saying all the very best to you, all good luck, and hoping that this gram deck is doing a sufficiently good job of work. Do just drop a postcard in the post, H.G., and let me know whether it is worthwhile going on. It's no trouble at all. We can do all the readings which are due to you on the gram deck, as long as you're receiving them loud, clear, crisp, and clean, as they ought to be. Right, H.G. That's all then. Goodbye. Answers to readers' letters.
M.A.J. of Cardiff. I have a heavy loss on S&W Beresford shares. What do you advise?
Due largely to adverse conditions in the sugar market, profits of this group of sugar and produce importers and merchants have declined sharply in the past 3 years. The pre-tax figure for 1965-66 was down from 461,000 odd to 336,000 odd, and the dividend was cut from 18% to 10%. The latest results were also severely affected by heavy interest charges and continued risings in operating costs. Action being taken should achieve further economies, but it's estimated that the selective employment tax could cost the group £40,000 in a full year, and the future for sugar is not looking any better. In view of these uncertainties and risk elements, we suggest that you cut your loss and switch to a share with firmer prospects.
DHS of Hucknall. I'm just about breaking even on Reichhold Chemicals shares. Should I sell?
No, the interim figures for 1966 indicate that the group is making a strong recovery from the setback of the previous year. Sales at the halfway stage were up from 3.65 millions for the comparable period of 1965 to over 3.75 millions, and pre-tax profits from 305,000 to 455,000. The interim payment was raised by a point to 6.5%, restoring it to the rate in force prior to the 1965 cut. But whether the total distribution will be higher depends on the state of the freeze next March. The group manufactures synthetic resins and compounds and a wide range of materials used in connection with the plastics industry. Apart from the disappointing results for 1965, the growth record is good, and the shares could prove rewarding over the next few years.
CH of Stratford-on-Avon. How do you rate the prospects for Associated British Maltsters?
They appear to be quite bright. Despite a very poor barley crop, the group returned pre-tax profits up from 737,000 odd pounds to 833,000 in 1965-66, and the news of the barley crop for the current year is good. Productivity has been greatly improved by the modernization of plant and equipment, and the reorganized industrial division is pushing up its sales. Also promising well for the future are the diversification moves. The company recently acquired a 50% stake in the Murfitt Group, commercial vehicle bodybuilders for bulk transport and other forms of specialized cargo handling.
VW of New Quay. Inveresk paper shares have fallen to a very low price. Do you consider them worth buying?
No. The latest results from this group showed a severe setback, with sales down by over £1 million to 26 million, pre-tax profits slumping from 2,034,000 odd pounds to 1,171,000 odd, and the dividend was cut from 1 and 5 pence to 10 pence a share. Some of the fall in profits was attributable to special factors such as the closing of 2 mills and disruption caused by the large development projects now in the course of completion. But fiercer competition cut into margins, and the group experienced the first effects of the squeeze. Ultimately, the capital developments and the link-up with other paper makers in tissue products should pay off, but meanwhile, the abolition of EFTA tariffs and the removal of the 10% surcharge have to be contended with. The next couple of years are likely to prove difficult, and we advise you to look elsewhere in the market.
WPR of Dumbarton. I'm worried about my shares in the Chamberlain Group. Do you think they'll recover?
Any early improvement seems unlikely on the present indications. The difficulties on the building and civil engineering side, which, despite good progress by the steel construction, property and engineering divisions, pulled down the pre-tax profits from 504,000 odd to 304,000 odd in 1965, took a further heavy toll last year, and it was recently stated that results for 1966 are likely to show an overall loss, possibly of the order of 150,000 to 200,000 pounds. No interim dividend is being paid against 3%, and the question of a final payment will be considered when the accounts are completed. Some of the problems, faulty estimating and weak contract management, now have been overcome, but under present conditions it could take some time to restore profits.
CMB of Tunbridge Wells. My holding in Forks is down about 4 shillings a share. What do you suggest?
Stay put. Manufacturing domestic and industrial equipment and appliances for electricity, gas and oil, this group returned pre-tax profits down from 746,000 odd to 682,000 odd in 1965-66, but the dividend was maintained at 14.5%. The fortunes of the parent company are aligned to those of the building industry, but the group as a whole is well diversified, and the chairman is hopeful that it'll weather the current economic upheaval without any major fall in profits. The record prior to 1965-66 was excellent, with higher pre-tax profits and dividends for 5 consecutive years.
H.A. of Romford. I'm undecided about my shares in Clay Cross Holdings. Is the outlook favourable?
It appears to be quite promising. A newcomer to the market last year, the company produces grey and ductile iron pressure pipes and has the gas industry as its biggest customer. In the first half of 1966, pre-tax profits amounted to 155,000 odd pounds compared with 119,000 odd for the same period of the previous year, and the directors were hopeful that the second half results would be at least as good. The prospectus forecast for the full year was £266,000 before tax. The interim dividend was 5%, as foreshadowed, and a 12% final has been intimated. In the light of the natural gas developments, there should be plenty of scope for future growth.
MT of Bingley, should I continue to hold Willows Francis shares?
Yes, this firm of manufacturing and wholesale chemists has a sound record, and last year pushed up pre-tax profits by around 11.3% to a new peak level of over £107,000. The dividend, maintained at 27.5%, would have been raised but for the freeze. And in the first quarter of the current year, the turnover was 16.9% up on the same period of the previous year, and this, together with orders on hand, has encouraged the directors to advance the profits target for 1966-67 from £125,000 to £128,000 odd. And that appears to be all that you could possibly require from this fortnight's edition of the Share Market Digest.
Very good. Like to do it again?
Little muffin sat on the top of the dinner. Like a big bag that sat on the top of the muffin sat on the top of the dinner. They came a big bite that sat on the side and right in my face.
Little Miss Muffet
Sat on the top of it, eating together me. They came a big bite that sat on the side.
Oh, not too fast now. Do it slowly, slowly.
I don't want to.
Do it slowly.
I can't do
Please.
Muffet.
Can you do Humpty?
No, I can't do ham, but don't be no.
Jack and Jill?
Yeah,
All right, do Jack and Jill.
little Jack and Jill.
Yes, please.
I can't do Jack and Jill. Play the water.
Can you do Jack and Jill went up the hill?
No,
Well, what can you do?
no, seesaw.
Seesaw, all right, seesaw.
I want to do seesaw.
Can you say it, please?
No,
For Daddy, please.
no. I won't do it for Daddy. What's up there? For tail quarter. What's a tail quarter
That's for Liz.
doing?
Can you do something for Daddy?
Yeah.
A little story.
Little doorway.
Yes, please.
For Daddy.
Yes, please.
Mom, do
Well, you do Little Miss Muffet.
Daddy. Mom, do muffin.
Muffet again, please.
Couldn't do it muffin away. Couldn't. And Joe, and Bella Water, Jack and Joe. I can't do it. I can't do it, Daddy. I can't do it now. No. Marco was awake. My didn't. I didn't.
Well, can you say Little Miss Muffet again, please?
No.
Please.
I won't.
Come on, sit on my knee. Here. Come on, sit on this little seat here. There we are. There we are. Right, now, little.
Muffet, sitting on top of it, eating a kiss. The camera bag was at another and wait a minute.
I said slow. Little Miss Muffet
can't do
sat on a tuffet, eating her curds and whey,
There came a big bear.
who sat down beside her, down, and frightened.
Muffet hooray!
That's right. Now do it again slowly, like that.
I want to do it and
Please.
Mama. Do Jack and Jill.
Can you do Jack and Jill?
No, Daddy just...
All right, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
Yes.
Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after.
Yeah.
Now you do it.
Let's do it, Daddy.
Can you do it for me, please?
No.
Would you do Little Miss?
I want to do...
I give you a sweetie, would you like that?
Yes.
Right, say Little Miss Muffet nicely in there. And I give you a sweetie.
No.
You don't want a sweetie?
No.
All right.
It's the same quarter.
Would you say Little Miss?
I cannot. There.
Did he give you a piece of chocolate?
What is it?
Yes, please. Little?
I can't do muffin.
Would you like a piece of chocolate?
No.
No, thank you.
I don't like muffin.
Would you like a piece of chocolate?
I don't like muffin.
Would you like a piece of chocolate?
I don't like... No chocolate today. Chocolate's all gone.
Eh?
Yes.
Where?
There. The chocolate all gone there. There. Chocolate there. For the... Yeah. Kittens. That's a donkey. My fair lady, build it up with bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar, build it up with bricks and mortar, my fair lady. Bricks and mortar will not stay, will not stay, will not stay, bricks and mortar will not stay, my fair lady. Build it up with penny loaves, penny loaves, penny loaves, build it up with penny loaves, my fair lady. It's going to be the Sandman now. I'll sing you lots of other songs after this Sandman, but it's rather difficult to say this. Here comes the Sandman, the sleepy, sleepy Sandman, singing, singing, softly, softly singing, hush, oh, hush, oh, all the children sleeping, hush, oh, shut your sleepy eyes. And now I'm going to tell you about Little Robin, which we are learning now. And this is a very difficult song. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a difficult one. God made little Robin in the days of spring. Please said little Robin, where am I to sing? Where am I to sing? God then spoke to Robin, you must sing always, but your sweetest carol keep for wintry days. Standing in the marketplace is quite easy. I'm going to tell you it now. Standing in the marketplace, Jesus watched the children play, where the eastern sunshine fell, all a merry summer day. Praise to Jesus while we play, praise him all the day. As he watched the children's games, all his heart went out to bless. All his heart went out to bless. He was glad to see them there, all a merry summer day. Praise him all the day. I would like to sing a little song which is quite short, and it begins with P. And it is praise him, all the little children. So listen. Praise him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Praise him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Now it's going to be thank him. But this is going to be a little bit difficult. Thank him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Thank him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Love him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Love him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Crown him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. Crown him, all the little children. He is love, he is love. And now after the song's a little poem, which is quite nice. But it's cold. It's a cold poem. Look out, Jack Frost is about. He's after our fingers and toes. And all through the night, the gay little sprite has been working when nobody knows. And now a little poem entitled of I saw her picking cowslips and marked her where she stood. She didn't know I watched her while hiding in the wood. Her cloak was bright as crimson, and tall her steeple hat. And her chin was sharp and pointed, and her eyes were, I don't know, for when she turned towards me, I thought it best to go. And now a little poem entitled, and it's this. Now, I start off with this, but I'll just have to have a little bit of thinking to think it out again, because I've forgotten it. How I wish that I had a little house with a mat for the cat and a holy for the mouse, and the cupboard and the kettle and a big birch brew. To school in the morning, the children off would run, and I'd give them a kiss and a penny and a bun. But directly they had gone from this little house of mine, I clapped my hands and snatched the clock, and shine, shine, shine. Well, we're having dinner now, but after dinner, I go to Timmy's house, but I wonder what we're going to have for tea. I expect there'll be quite a lot of things. She'll have a fire, I expect, but I hope they have a train, because they did used to have a little plastic train with a red track. But I wonder if Timmy will let me. If he didn't there, I shall be very sad, but I won't show it out, because it's fruit. But when I don't want any food, when I don't want something, I won't say, well, I don't want this, please. I will say, well, I'd rather not have this, because, you see, I don't like this sort of stuff. What can I say that, really? But, right now, Mummy is cooking the dinner, but perhaps I might tell little stories if I think for a minute and do it. But goodbye for now, but you might have to wait a little bit, ladies and gentlemen, just for me to think out a story. But I get to the toilet now, and then I'll think of a story. Well, actually, I made a little house, you see, out of matchbox and pieces of paper, blue paper and things. And actually, well, I got quite a lot of toys, but I can't tell you all because there's too much. But, of course, I have got a toy windmill, and for another thing, I think, oh yes, of course, I think that little green thing that we've got on our tape recorder is showing us that it's very hot. But we'll do that policeman song again because it's rather spoiled it. So, here we go. The policeman walks with heavy treads, left to right, left, right. Swings his arms and holds up his head, left, right, left, right. I don't like snow, but sometimes it's nice. Of course, we have that M and B, that means milk and biscuits. And I do watch B and R and A. That means Batman and Robin. And I do sometimes like school and I sometimes don't like school. But they've got little teeny books with only, I should think, 16 pages. And the pages are quite interesting. They have jets and aeroplanes and cars being mended, and those things you see with cars on them, and then they go up, and then there's garages with a car just getting up to them, and cars being mended, and cars in a factory being made and being made, and sometimes there's just a jet or two, and there's really that's all. But we have Lego in the house and quite a lot of things. But they might make a noise over there, and they are making rather a lot of noise. But never mind, we'll see what this sounds like when I've finished it. Goodbye. Had to crawl along, squeaking to Mummy, but she didn't hear us until we got home. But Mummy said she knew how to get us into humans. She'd asked the witch to give her another rubber band to make them grow into humans, but the witch said that they deserved it because they had been taking her rubber bands. They said, and she said that it was a rubber band that turned them into a mouse. And she said, all right then, and she went into the house, brought her a rubber band, put it round us, and then she said, abracadabra, and we were a human again. Goodbye. A very short song. Well, the story to say. This time it wasn't Daddy and I going through the woods at all. It was just me, not Daddy, going through the woods. And we saw an aeroplane, but we weren't quite sure what it was. But we didn't know what it was in those days, so we thought that we would try to jump up and get in the airplane, but of course we were silly at those times because of course you can't jump right into the sky, can you? And we thought if we got a ladder, a fire engine ladder, and put it up against the telephone wire, we could get onto the telephone wires and then jump and try to get up into the airplane. But it was funny because we did jump up into the airplane with a fire engine ladder. Very funny, but we actually did just reach the airplane and jump in.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Paddy go get a 12. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right. Well, now, when I direct your attention to example 1, you should all by now be looking at the top left-hand diagram, which consists of 2 flags and carries a message fraught with meaning to any sailor. Now, this is a signal which a parsimonious country permits to be flown only on occasions of great national rejoicing. It is not England expects, nor is it
Gentlemen will please adjust their dress before leaving. It is splice the main brace. Don't trouble to memorize it. The instances when it is flown are very few, and the knowledge that it will be flown will have been common for some months previously. The next hoist consists of one flag, and it carries a cry from the heart. It's the ensign of the Ancient Mariner, the house flag of Alcoholics Anonymous. It is the turn pendant, and it's flown singly in harbour, and it means water boat required. Now, this one is worth memorizing. In Her Majesty's ships, it usually goes up as the anchor goes down. Now, Rorari, moderating your voice to a dull roar, you try to tell me what the third hoist means. Again, the captain made no comment, recognizing once more the voice of a master. Tom Bowles had the shameful thought that perhaps the captain was reluctant to burst in on either the bodger or the communications officer because he was afraid he might get the worst of the encounter. But the next lecturer sounded more promising. It was Chief Electrician Pocock, conducting a class with heavy tread and scrupulous attention to detail through the intricacies of lighting circuits. The chief electrician had been bequeathed a comprehensive set of notes by his predecessor, and he never departed from them if he could avoid it. They were his rod and staff through a swamp of technicalities. Once Chief Electrician Pocock had been drawn from his notes, he floundered like a heavily armoured legionary enticed off the Roman road down into oozing marshes. Electrical lecture number 7. Intoned the chief electrician. The 7th electrical lecture, lighting circuits. The basis of all lighting circuits is Ohm's law. Ohm's law states that the current passing through a circuit is proportional to the voltage, or expressed another way, the voltage is equal to the current times a constant. A constant is the same for any given circuit and is termed the resistance. I'll give you, for an instance... Excuse me, Chief, but did you say Ohm's law? The chief electrician consulted his notes. I did. But, Chief, in electrical lecture number 6 last week, you said it was Faraday. The chief electrician thumbed back several pages in his notes. I did say something of the sort. Don't believe a word he says, Chief. We all know it was Watt, don't we, fellows? Several voices answered at once. What's what? It was Ohm Sweet Ohm. No, it was Jan Faraday. Old Uncle Tom Orsted and all. Ah, well, they also serve who only stand and what? Who said that? John Milton, Chief. Well, come out in the front of the class, Milton. The captain strode in through the doorway. Class! Roared the chief electrician. The class struggled to their feet, sheepishly trying to assume the position of attention in the limited leg space between bench and table. Some of them looked resentfully at Tom Bowles, as though they felt it was his fault. Don't mind me, Chief. The captain smiled mildly. Now you! The captain turned and suddenly on Spink in the front row. Now what's the difference between a Watt, a Faraday, and an Orsted, I don't know, sir. Spink gulped. Well, listen to the chief electrician in future when he's trying to teach you something. The last lecture was one on the causes of funnel smoke by Ginger Pigant. The captain was not interested in the causes of funnel smoke, only in the means of its swift removal from the funnel whenever he complained about it. The captain snorted and passed on. His peregrinations had brought the captain back to the quarterdeck. He looked at his watch. Well, I usually have a small glass of something about this time, Bowles, he said. I won't ask you to join me because I'm sure the cadet training officer will be most displeased. Well, you can carry on, and thank you for your assistance, Bowles. Thank you, sir. Tom Bowles saluted and doubled away. It was just after 11:30 in the forenoon, and the rest of the day was his own. On his way forward, he met Paul. Hello, how'd you get on? Fair enough. He's not as dumb as he likes to appear, you know. He's much sharper than anyone would think. I imagine so. He wouldn't be captain, would he?
Barsetshire called for an afternoon at Pointe-à-Pierre, Trinidad, to refuel, during which Paul visited the refinery and George Dewberry. When Barsetshire visited a Mediterranean port, the local people were interested in her. Undoubtedly they were interested in her. But then there'd been a ship last week, and most assuredly there'd be another ship next week. One more ship was nothing to get excited about, but in the West Indies, Barsetshire's visit was a yearly event much looked forward to and enjoyed to the full while it lasted. The residents competed to invite parties of cadets to their houses. The girls packed their regular boyfriends off to the hills for the week or 10 days while Barsetshire was in, and the distillers of rum and the weavers of straw hats rubbed their hands with glee and promised themselves a harvest of profits unequalled since the visits of Nelson's fleets in search of those of the ruffianly Bonaparte. On board, feelings were mixed. Those of the ship's company who had not visited the West Indies before couldn't wait to go ashore and sample the legendary hospitality of West Indian women. They couldn't understand the caution which old hands to the station displayed before getting out of the boat. They couldn't know that this caution was well-founded. Old hands on the station, like the chief gunnery instructor and the master-at-arms, had no wish to repeat last year's experience when they had each been greeted on stepping ashore with a joyous hail of "Daddy," bubbling from innocent piccaninny lips. Feelings were also mixed in the wardroom. The communications officer wondered whether that little octoroon girl was still there. Ginger Piggant was afraid that the little octoroon girl would still recognize him. The commander Stores wondered whether he'd have to pay more for grapefruit, while the principal medical officer retired to his cabin to read up his handbook on venereal disease. The captain's calls on the dignitaries of the island were returned immediately. The governor travelled from shore in a bright blue barge. The colonel, commanding the island garrison, came off in a dull black barge. A large black gentleman in a bright red barge named Lullaby of Broad